I think it's Dak. Look, they're going to be forever tied at the hip, right? As Dak struggled this year before the trade was made, it looked like both were going down a path of, hey, maybe they need another quarterback or maybe they need a head coach. You win 10 games, which is the third time in 5 years they've won 10 games. They only had one bad season since he's been head coach. That's when both Tony Romo and Des Bryant both got hurt in the exact same year. So I think he saved his job. He'll be good there, and he showed that he understood his team. It's a run-oriented, defensive-oriented team that on third down, they allowed Dak to roll out and now find his new weaponry. But for Dak Prescott, he wants quarterback money in the offseason, right? He's been paid at a level not commensurate with the starting quarterback of the Cowboys. The best way to do that is show us you're a franchise quarterback. Show us you can win in the postseason, not just in the regular season. I think they're tied at the hip, but if it's me, who's got more pressure to perform? I think it's Dak Prescott. He has yet to win a playoff game, and he lost at home to the Green Bay Packers, and he's playing for a next contract.
I'm with you on this one. I think Dak Prescott has more to prove, and the reason why is because Jason Garrett and Jerry Jones have placed all the personnel around him to be successful. And when you look at quarterbacks in this league, when do you make your money? It's in the playoffs. His rookie year, they went to the playoffs, nothing to prove. We're on our rookie run. Myself and Ezekiel Elliott and this Cowboy team, nobody knows who you really are, so we'll give you a pass. Now the pressure is mounting. Now we need you to step up, going up against a Seattle team with a Russell Wilson who we know is going to put on a show. We know what Russell Wilson can do. Can you be the reason why your team wins instead of your team having to support you?
No, you guys, what you're missing here is it's Jason Garrett, and here's why. What did he just do in Week 17? He played most of his starters. He kept Zeke out. 2 years ago, guys, Jason Garrett, same spot, Week 17. Let's get our guys some rest. We'll play him a series. He knows the pressure's on. Jason Garrett has so much to prove here. If you think back to that Packers game, Gottlieb, what did Dak do? 300 yards, 3 touchdowns. He looked good. He wasn't the reason they lost that. The ill-equipped for facing the Packers right out of the gate, it's on Jason Garrett, that last playoff loss. Now he's got to show up this week. He's at home. He's favored. This is a spot he has to deliver a great game. We know Dak is a game manager. He's probably not a franchise guy. Jason Garrett, 8 years. It's time to win another playoff game.
Yeah, me and Jason are on the same page here. It's more pressure on Jason Garrett. It's Dak Prescott in his only playoff game as a rookie, balled out. They lost that game to the Green Bay. It wasn't his fault that they lost. What they did yesterday by sitting offensive lineman Ezekiel Elliott was showing Dak, when we need you, you can do it. Dak is flying high. He's feeling the way he played yesterday. Yeah, they're playing the Giants. It's not a big – he played great. He went down the field, made that great throw to Cole Beasley. It was a great catch, but it was a great throw on the run moving to his left. Jason Garrett is 1-2 in the playoffs. And every other week during this season, it was, oh, man, Jason, they need to get rid of Jason. Dak Prescott is what he is. He's going to get between $18 and $24 million a year. Nothing more than that, in my opinion. He is what he is. He's proven if you give him a good team, he can get the job done. Jason Garrett hasn't proven, at least to me, that he can win big games in the playoffs and lead his team where they need to go.
Yeah, Jason Garrett doesn't lead his team. He's not the quarterback of the football team, right?
He's a head coach.
Yeah, I understand that. And they did rework, his staff in the offseason, which put him clearly under pressure. But they're not getting rid of Jason Garrett. He just won 10 games, won the division, saved the season. And I think what you saw, based upon their ability to run the football, especially you lose Travis Frederick for the year to start the year. Like, this thing was a mess. It's a mess. And Jason, you said they went for it yesterday. Like, no, they didn't. They didn't play Zach Martin.
He was injured. He's injured. They had to hold him out. But they played their starters.
No,
they played Leighton Vander Esch, Amari Cooper.
Here's what they did.
They had to run their starters out there. He had to change it up.
No, he wanted to win 10 games because he knows he wins 10 games, he wins his league, he's good. He wins his division, he's good. Nobody's messing with him. Dak, as you point out, I agree with you. He's like $18, $20 million. I feel good, but tell Dak Prescott that. He's like, look, I've been making a couple $100,000 here playing as quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. He's thinking, I want Kirk Cousins plus money.
If he wants Kirk Cousins plus money,
then what's he have to do?
Hey, they always
ball out in the playoffs per Greg Jennings. He's right.
I don't care who you are. When you watch the Dallas Cowboys, when you watch any game this weekend, are you going to say, man, their coach better win this game? No, you're going to say these guys have to step up and play. And when we look at the playoffs alone, we understand and we know if your quarterback is not willing to step up and make big plays, you are quicker to exit than the guys who
We
have
all
a
know
quarterback.
the kind of players.
TJ, I love how everybody wants to toss these quarterbacks out. Oh, let's get rid of him. Okay, Ryan Tannehill's going to hit the market. Nobody wants
Nobody's
him. Joe
getting rid
Flacco.
of
There's
him.
so many quarterbacks around the league. There's no way they're making a move on
It's
Dak
always
Prescott.
on the
No
players.
way.
Now, don't get me wrong. It's always on the players are the ones that go out there and play. They got to. Jason Garrett has been in Dallas a long time. Dak Prescott has played well when given he had. If it's about wins, no quarterback has won more than him in the first 3 years of their career. Nobody.
Okay.
Nobody.
Let me just ask you this: who do you think wins, Seattle or Dallas?
Dallas.
Why?
Just because their defense is that strong. Their
But you
defense.
didn't say because of the quarterback, right?
Their
But I would
defense.
say the only reason you would pick Seattle, who has an equally outstanding running game with Chris Carson, right, over 1,000 yards rushing, but the only reason you would pick Seattle would be because of the quarterback situation, correct? You go like, well, Russell Wilson,
100%.
I think, which shows the question he asked was, who has more to prove? And Dak Prescott has more to prove.
So the Cowboys
Pete
win
Carroll-
this game and the defense carries them. You're going to say Dak Prescott did that? If the Cowboys win this game and the defense
Well,
shuts
it depends how the game goes.
But-
Yes. But like, look, if you watch the Cowboys, they have a great defense and they have a good running game.
Pete Carroll versus Jason Garrett is a bigger mismatch than Russell Wilson versus Dak Prescott.
Oh.
He doesn't deserve all the blame, but he deserves like 90% of the blame. And I've defended Kirk Cousins all year. And his stats have proven that he can put up numbers. He'll put the ball in the end zone. He'll rack up a bunch of yards. But can he win the big game? And the answer is simple. It's no. I thought he would be able to do it. And when you paid, I don't care who you are, when you're paid that amount of money, the expectations are to win. And did he get that done yesterday? No. 132 yards. You made a good point on the herd earlier. 27 yards with 2 minutes left in the
a
first
minute
half.
and 30 seconds.
Like you can't do that.
Listen,
you can't win with a guy like that.
I explained last week to people that we like to put out the $84 million. They weren't even the highest bidder. Okay, this was a guy capitalizing on the market and the fact that the market did not have another starting quarterback. Case Keenum, whose coach got fired today, was the second best option. Minnesota had him, knew he's not good enough. A.J. McCarron, like, who are you? If you don't like Kirk Cousins, where were they going to go? Sam Bradford, right? He lasted one game for Minnesota last year. They couldn't win with him. Teddy Bridgewater, we saw how good he looked, and his knee was not sound. They couldn't make him their franchise quarterback. So I do think we get locked in on the number. Do I put blame on Kirk Cousins' shoulders? Of course. But I also give a little bit, just a smidge, like a lot maybe, of credit to the Chicago Bears.
Oh, no question.
Like, this is not the first quarterback that we've made look like, when I saw them play the Rams, I thought Jared Goff might be scared to death. He looked like a deer in the headlights at that pass rush. Fair?
Agreed.
Aaron Rodgers, who I think is the greatest quarterback to ever play under center in the National Football League, looked average at best against the same defense. So, look, it's really easy to pile on, but they had a first-time offensive coordinator, a new offensive coordinator who did not work. They fired him. Dalvin Cook was not healthy and was not sound. The offensive line, when Tony Sparano died, that offensive line is not the same without their offensive line coach. Does Cousins deserve some blame? Yes. Is his contract the reason we're talking about him? Yes. But the fact is, he is not solely to blame. Some of it is the fact the Bears will make you look like a JV quarterback.
I think Greg said 90%. Is that what you said for Kirk? That's a little high, Greg. I would go closer to 60. As Doug alluded to, that offensive line was in shambles all season. Every time he dropped back, it collapsed like a table. I mean, it was ugly for him. I do want to add this. I have been a Kirk Cousins defender. He statistically had one of his best seasons ever. Most touchdown passes, fewest interceptions, highest completion percentage. But the number I can't get by is 4-25 against teams with winning records. You know who does that? That's like Matthew Stafford. Okay, and we know he hasn't won anything in his career.
Another very highly
I'm a
paid,
Kirk
talented
Cousins
quarterback.
guy. It's tough to defend him here. I think they'll bounce back strong next year, but it's not like they lost to a lot of bad teams. Okay, as you said, this is the Bears, number one defense in the NFL.
You say 90%, I say 99%.
Because, come on, man.
Too much is given, much is expected. Too much is given, much is expected. You have two great receivers. You got Diggs and Adam Thielen. And you bring up the Rams. They played outdoors. This is indoors in Minnesota with two good receivers. You should not be the reason they don't win. He threw for 160 yards. His record against teams with winning record, he loses 85% of those games. You lose 85% of the games versus team.
In fairness, when he's with the Washington Redskins, were they a good football team?
No, but Washington.
No, they were terrible. They were a bad football team.
The Washington Redskins, they saw what Minnesota did not see. A lot of fluff in his stats.
Sure.
They saw that.
I think Minnesota. I actually think Minnesota saw that. I really we're sitting there thinking we think they paid him that money because they thought he was.
We
Aaron
can't
Rodgers.
give a quarterback all the credit in the world when their team wins, and when they flop like this, he deserves the blame. Because
I understand, but you also look. You've played and starred in the NFL. You can respect this. Like, dude, if you have no time to drop back and pass, I mean, that's what that argument was over, right? He's running a corner.
It was over the angle, as you know. He wanted them to come flat, and Thielen went high.
And honestly, when I saw that play, I'm in agreement with Adam Thielen because if you're
even with the corner,
you're leaving.
Yes.
It's just like running a go route. You got to go. Give me an opportunity to go make a play and to
throw it up and let your wide receiver make a play.
Yes, and let them. That's what they've done all year.
Okay,
but now
that's why you guys are great.
But now
How
all
often
of a
do you
sudden,
think they practice that? We
now,
get man to man, we go high angle.
Here's why it makes my point. Because now all of a sudden you don't give us a chance to make that play. Like all year you've thrown it up and given me a chance to make the play. Now all of a sudden everything has to go exactly right. No, we brought you here. We were in the NFC Championship game last year. We bring you here, and this is why Minnesota brought him here instead of going with Case Keenum. Because they thought he would give us that slight edge.
He put us over the top.
He would tilt the scale, and he has simply not done that.
Hey, look, I think that's fair, but we also we look back on last year. Like, dude, it took a miracle to beat the Saints at home. Okay?
True.
And remember, the division they won, Aaron Rodgers was hurt.
Yes.
The Bears were a disaster and fired their coach.
And the Vikings defense was pretty good last year.
The Viking defense was arguably the best in football. It hasn't been as good. So you're not wrong. They wanted stability. He brings stability. And I think the reason he didn't read that play correctly was he was seeing shadows. He was seeing ghosts, right? He's seeing Khalil Mack. Where's he at? I don't have 10 seconds. I don't have 10 seconds.
Absolutely, guys.